President Tinubu's led administration has geared a shift, you guys. So this gets what scrapping the Higher National Diploma, which is the HND, and ending decades of discrimination and bias against polytechnics and polytechnics and universities, okay?
Right.
By empowering polytechnics to have award degrees, which is like maybe BSc and all of that.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the question, like, who are those discriminating?
Well, I'm one of those persons who actually discriminate people.
You are?
As a BSc holder myself,
Okay.
you come and you're like an HND, I look at you and say, come on now, we are not on the same level. But it is apparent when we get into like the workplace, or when employers have to choose employees, and just because you are from a polytechnic or you're from one of all these schools, you're not able to get some kind of opportunity because you're not a BSc holder. So I think it's something that's actually been happening for a while. And it's not a good thing. It's definitely not a good thing. You should not be discriminated, or you should not lose opportunities just because you don't have some certain qualifications, just like that, So, yeah.
So this discrimination is practically like among the employers and some of the university
and
students.
the government.
Yeah.
There are some certain positions in the government that you cannot get if you are
Really?
an HND. Yeah, definitely.
And actually, I think one of the reasons they're being discriminated, if you look at most polytechnics, come on and look at the infrastructure, and then the attention government gives to universities, and then polytechnics, it's way worse than what they do to the universities. Look, if you go around Nasarawa, there's some polytechnics, you ask, is this a polytechnic or a secondary school?
But I actually heard they are more practical. Like these polytechnics are more practical. Like they teach them like they are, they don't do theory so much like the universities.
Those are the ones which I think so much intentionality has been put into them, and that high standards. But I won't see polytechnics generally like that.
But this agitation has been long-standing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, should we be happy or not? Because it's been over 10 years. We've been hearing that they want to give polytechnics, BSc.
I honestly don't even think that this is something that we should even really think too much about, because
I'll be happy
for
about
10 years, like you said, for 10 years they have been saying, oh boy, we want to ratify or make this we want to make polytechnics great again, and give them this kind of qualification. But for 10 years we haven't seen anything. So like I said, I'm always cynical, and you always complain, but I'm always cynical.
You.
I'm always cynical until I see actual action taking place to ensure this thing is happening. I'm sorry, I'm not even gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. That's just the truth.
So this is just like another gamble.
Because it's not about saying, okay, are they really willing to put in the work to raise the standard to the university level? Because BSc cannot just be given because it's BSc. Come on, you have to earn it, and you need to meet some certain level. So our polytechnics now going to be graduating medical doctors, because they don't. So is the government going to put in the work in the infrastructure, the learning process, and everything to make sure it matches BSc standards? That's what we should be looking at the moment.
So now, comparatively to global standards, do we think this is what we really need right now, or do you think the whole educational system just needs to be overhauled?
Yeah, I know a few people that will say that education doesn't really matter.
Like who?
We don't want to call names. But I know a few people that will say education doesn't really matter. But in the grand scheme of things, it is always proper, because what I feel, what the importance that education brings, or going through school brings, is that it empowers you. For lack of a better word, it empowers you, because when you are empowered, you are able to think. School teaches you how to. It doesn't teach you how to make money. It doesn't teach you. It teaches you how to think. It teaches you how to talk to people. It teaches you how to.
It reduces mediocrity.
So that's what school does. So if you go to school and say, all right, but school doesn't necessarily equip you for the workplace, which is, I think that's the problem that all these things have. And I think polytechnics actually kind of do, because a lot of them they are practical based. It's less cerebral and more, manual. And that's kind of where the discrimination comes from. But I also think it will help. So if we are going to merge BSc, should I say schools that offer these higher degrees, we're going to merge things from there into the polytechnic base. I also think we should take the polytechnic base tenets and things that happen there into the BSc thing. So now we're going to have this yin and yang of, okay, we have the theory base and the practical base here, and the theory base and practical base here. Yeah. So that way, globally or in an international standard, we can actually have that kind of equilibrium, and we can actually compete on an international.
So what do you guys think is really the problem of the education system in Nigeria? Let's talk about it. I mean, we've all left school. What are those things that you feel like the government?
I'm still a student. I'm still a student.
Oh, you're
I'm still in the process.
Right. Exactly the reason why we need to hear from you, Mr. Dan.
So what do you think? What would you say is the problem of the school?
The problem for the mental. I think it's the whole governance system. There's a lot of problems. A lot of lecturers not really putting in the effort. A lecturer, you can hear a lecturer telling you, I don't really have a business with you. All I want is for you to, I ask you a question, you write your exams, you give me what I want, I pass and I let you go. So there's no intentional effort to okay, you're trying to make your students better people. As a teacher, you should be willing to help your subject be even better than you. That's what should be your aim as someone who's teaching. But here it's more like work, service, and then we leave. There's no much effort put
federal
inside.
Government speaking. I hope you're jotting this down. You should take this to the federal government.
When I was in school before I left. I'm not young.
When did you leave? You stop that.
Just left.
Before when I was in school, I remember in my 100 level period, all my lecturers, I can say 90% of them. So if I 100 level 200, 90% of them, whenever they came into to teach us, as a teacher, you're supposed to go on a tangent to sort of like elevate your students, not just based on education only, but based on their mindset, help them grow. But 90% of my teachers, they did not give us elevation. What they were
just do schooling.
No, they were discriminating the government. They'll be like, Nigeria is such a terrible country. I came to school because I wanted to be uplifted. I wanted things to be better.
I wanted to live up,
to
grow.
Yeah, I wanted to grow and think. But instead of you to tell me about all those things, you are telling me about the government being corrupt. You're telling me about the problems. You're not even telling me how I can think.
It's doing something to you mentally.
I can think. So now, when I'm leaving school now, I'm only thinking about Nigeria. And Nigeria is problematic. This is a problem. That is a problem.
So it's
I don't have should I say, solution-based mindsets. It wasn't until I was in 300 level that I found one lecturer that finally started giving me hope. You understand? So even at the fundamental level, we have a system that takes away the hope of young people in schools. We have a system that takes away the hope of young people in schools, and that's one of the major problems that we have here.
Talking about hope.
Yeah.
Now we are going to be giving the HNDs BSc. Whereas we still have thousands of university BSc holders, and I do not know if they are really doing anything worth with this BSc. Will it be soft to say that the Nwa boy, there's something called Nwa boy in and the Igbo community. So the Nwa boy is a process where as growing up, you don't need to go to school. You don't go to school. You just finish secondary school. That's the basic. You can learn English, you can communicate in English language. And then the next thing, if you want to be repairing mics, you want to do this, you want to do that. My brother, your family sends you there. But when you're done, you are sure, if it's 10 years, if it's 7 years, you are sure that you're going to be settled. One, mother is financially. Two, your gas customers will want to blend in with you. Can now start building. So can we say that this, that industry has built so many industrious, hardworking, tangible youth more than the educational system of Nigeria?
It is true. That industry, I don't mean to cut you off, that industry has, but I also think that it has created people that are illiterate in some regard.
I mean, compared to BSc, what are they doing?
I'm coming somewhere, because yes, we have people that are industrious per se, but we also have people that are not so articulate. Because if you're going to compete in the international markets, there's an image that you have for a people to have. Education is what gives you that image. As I'm here and I'm able to discuss with you, it's because I had a sound education. You understand? That's what comes. So if we have the Uma Boy, as you said, Uma Boy, as you say, and we all shift towards that. I'm sorry, no offense to your culture or offense to your Igbo culture. That to me sounds like the worst thing ever. Like dedicating 7 years of my life after school to hard work sounds like the worst thing ever. Why can't we do both?
Yeah.
Why can't I go to school and also do Umaboyo? You understand?
Okay.
We can combine these things. Why are we not doing that? You understand? I cannot just spend. So these are the things that we have to start thinking about. Okay, we have this traditional way, and we have this more modernized way.
Yeah.
There's a way we can form a hybrid, so that if you're in school, you're learning, you are doing all those things. You also have a handwork that you're learning as well.
But that's where education comes in.
Yeah.
We don't actually do that in Nigeria because I think someone who wants to fix mic as an engineering student should know how to do it. It should be taught in school, not you graduating and then going out there to go and try to learn it yourself.
I think that's where we are getting it all wrong. Graduating
because if you look at and then going out, starting all over again.
Why is it not being taught?
Exactly.
That's even the process.
Exactly.
So if you look at how the learning culture or system outside there, you can see someone is already in school. It's not even about the English or the communication. What are you going there to learn? You're already teaching them from scratch because they know when they are graduating into what they are learning, and then they are going out there to face, should I say, the labor market to put in what they learn. But now in Nigeria, the system has become just go get the degree, whatever will be, but just have the degree. That's just what has been painted in our head, and many youths have been working with.
And
like
now you'll be told that you can work anywhere. Just graduate.
Exactly. Just graduate.
And that is the biggest, one of the biggest lies.
Lies.
So
You
can work anywhere. You can work anywhere. Where am I working? Anywhere. Where they didn't employ me.
Okay, now so let's talk about this lastly, so we can wrap up, because this conversation is going to be lengthy because of how it feels in our hearts and how burdened we know that is. So now let's talk about this National Board for Technical Education. They've been dragging feet somehow to why this this bill has not been passed. It has always come up for years. Is it beginning to feel like anything that has to do with the youth are not taking seriously? Because why is this taking so much time? Why are they not implementing things that are supposed to make us move faster, help us grow and compete with the global space? Is there a conundrum sort of?
It shows the level of competency of the leaders that we have, whereby the young people are not necessarily prioritized. You understand? It's sad, but it's true. It is sad, but it's true, because when a country that does not think about the next generation is doomed to fail. You understand? If we look at China prioritizes the young people more than anybody else because they are the future. You understand? They are the future. It's the young people that are going to inherit all this. And when we have a bill that is going to help young people, and everyone is just like, we're gonna do that. But we can prioritize the tax bill. We can prioritize
those things come out so fast. Like the fuel subsidy, it was quickly changed.
We prioritize this one, but we don't prioritize young people. It just shows the competency and what where they are.
Or maybe their priority. Maybe the youths are not their priority. What do you have to say to that?
Actually, they are supposed to be like peace setters for us to like follow, but then reverse is the case. It's just like a circle.
Pace setters?
We keep going around this circle. They're supposed to show us the way. They call us leaders of tomorrow, but then the leaders of tomorrow are not given the proper foundation.
The leaders of today, some of them don't even have certificates. Some of them will say, wait, go and tell him to bring his NYSC discharge. Don't you hear things like that?
So no proper foundation to begin with, and they're not even willing to put in these efforts for this proper foundation to be laid upon you. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Whatever the problem is, just check the leadership system. That's just it.
I'm going to add to that, because everything falls and rises on leadership, but we also need to have the mentality that the individual is also sovereign. As an individual, you're also sovereign in your life. Like we said now, I'm not the kind of person who would depend, because when I was in school, I had to find a side hustle. I had to look for it. It took me a while, but I eventually found one, and that's what I'm using to sustain myself today. You understand? And that's what I employ every single young person to do. Be you an HND holder, be you a BLC holder, while you are in school, while you are learning, you are gaining information, you are becoming articulate, you are building yourself. Build something else. You understand? Build something else, because at the end of the day, like you said, from what we see, no one out there is looking out for you. No one is prioritizing your development.
You're physically alone.
You have to do it now. You have to. That's just the truth, yeah. So that's what I'm just going to add.
All right, we don't know if it's just another Tinubu's led administration gamble, because these, issues have been long-standing about having the HND, scholars to have BSc. We've been hearing this for a very long time. So what is the government really doing about it? Shouldn't this bill be passed already? We really want to know what's the problem. So let me know, what are your comments? What do you think the government can do differently when it comes to the educational system in Nigeria? Catch us next time on Youth Agenda. I am Hosanna Okorafor.